Alright, so I'm just deciding to record a bunch of random stories. So this video is just going to be full of a bunch of random stories that I remember. I'm gonna start like some of these stories will sound crazy because they are crazy, but I can tell you that they're all true. So the first story I can think of telling is the time a shark got dropped on my head by seagulls. And it is exactly how it sounds. So I was playing on the beach. I had just met a stranger. I'm the type of person to go, especially as a little kid, I was like, "You're a kid, I'm a kid, let's be friends. I don't care if I'll never see you again. Let's play and hang out and have fun." I was I guess I'm very extroverted. I've always been that kind of extroverted. So I'm playing on the beach with a random friend I just found, and we're doing that little kid thing where you're like taking things, mixing things in a bucket, going, "I'm making a potion." And we were doing that with just water and sand. And it's a sunny day. I had just put on sunscreen again, and I remember because I don't like the feeling of sunscreen. I remember feeling like gross, and it was the sunscreen. And next thing I know, there's a shadow over me. There were no clouds in the sky. So I look up to see a cloud of seagulls fighting over something. And then I see this little thing just slowly fall towards me, and what falls on me is a shark. Not like a great white shark, like a shark that I could pick up. And a shark actually drops on me. And I just stand there, and a bunch of people are now looking at me with a shark next to me, and I'm seeing it flop around because it can't breathe and it's a fish. So I kind of just look around, bend down, pick up the shark. It's like wiggling because it has like no spine essentially, and it's wiggling a bunch, and I'm like barely able to hold on to it. I walk over to the ocean and just throw it in, and that was into that. And then someone came up to me, he's like, "You better be careful, not go in the water, cause it's mommy shark. Cause it's mommy, it's gonna come." And thank you. I'm just like, I don't want to meet a bigger shark. I didn't go in the water for like 15 minutes, cause I didn't want to meet a bigger shark. So that was a time a shark got dropped on my head, and my grandparents saw it. I don't think they'd remember it now, cause it was many many years ago. Another time, this is a story that has been told to me because when it happened, I just remember three things. I'm tubing, we're going crazy. I see a wave. Next thing I'm in the air, and now I'm underwater. So what happened was is me and my cousin, my older cousin, we were at their lake house in Wisconsin, which is an 11-hour drive from where we live. So I don't know why you'd have a lake house in Wisconsin, but they did. They still do. So we're tubing, and me and my cousin, we are wild tubers. We love to go crazy. This is when we were still little. I was in second grade. I know because I was constantly fighting lice in second grade, and I brought lice to their cabin. And so we're doing wild tubing, and and they have two tubes where it's got two indents in a tube, and both of the tubes got two indents so you can sit in it, and it's like a little thing. So we're sitting on the arm rest in the middle, and we're calling it bull riding because you're essentially holding onto something in between your legs as you're sitting there, and it looks like you're riding a bull. And so we're doing that since there's two of us. So what we like to do when we were little is use goggles when we tubed so we could see. So I'm wearing goggles and my cousin's wearing goggles, and we're tubing, and he looks over and sees that there's this bubble of water over me. And he thought I was still in it, but what happened is when the bubble of water went over me, I hit a giant wave, and according to my aunt, I was launched 10 feet into the air. She exaggerates. I exaggerate. So we aren't sure how high I was launched into the air, but we do know that it was a decent height. So, and she said that all we saw was arms and legs flailing and a hot pink life jacket. And my cousin, when we stopped, like We stopped. And he's like, why'd we stop? And he turned around and I'm in the water. Sorry. So I was the first person that my uncle had ever knocked out of a tube before. And he was very proud, but also a little worried because that's never happened with him. And I was just like, I want to go again! I want to go again! I'm sorry if that's really loud, but I was so excited to go again. But I'm like, I am not sitting in the middle. I'm going to sit in the side. And that's when I was completely sideways because it was unbalanced. So whenever you're tubing and someone goes, oh, balance doesn't matter. Yes, it does. So, and another story I can think about, let's just keep it with nature, I guess, is again with my cousins. We're hiking at a trail that we used to go to a bunch. And we get into the hike, and I remember us going, why did we stop? Why are we turning around? I'm like, I think we can keep going. And I get to the front of the line, and what do I see? Is a I see a diamondback rattlesnake curled up right in the center of the trail, sunbathing. Now, I've discussed this with my dad since then, and I asked, why didn't we just go around it? And he said, with six little kids, if one of us got bit, we could have died. So we ended up just turning around, even though we could have easily went around it. Our parents just didn't want to risk one of the six toddlers getting bit because that would have been a death sentence. But if it was now, that we all would have just went further into the grass or further like around a separate part of the trail to just keep hiking. But because we saw a diamondback rattlesnake and we decided to end the hike there and we went somewhere else. So those are three nature based stories, I guess, that I can remember off the top of my head. So I hope you have a good night. I am just gonna keep telling funny stories, a few lore based stories, like a few of them. I first have to actually get them out of my head and recorded. So have a good night. I hope you enjoyed my wacky stories.